Welcome back to my channel. My name is T, and on this channel we talk about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. We talk about lifestyle and just a little bit of heaven. If this is something that you're interested in, please keep watching. So, today, as the title suggests, we're going to be talking a little bit about grace, a little bit about forgiveness, and just where we stand with that. I know all of us have experienced hurt in some way, shape, and form. It could be somebody that we really loved or love. It could be a family member. It could be a partner. It could be a friend. We've all have experienced hurt. We all have experienced people who we believe should not have operated the way they did or should not have just responded to a particular way. We all have experienced that type of emotion where you feel so disappointed in somebody. I know I have. But how quickly are we to move past it? How quickly are we to forgive? How quickly are we to retaliate? So that's something I just wanted to dive into a little bit more here on this channel for this video. All right, and please remember, tell me how you feel, tell me your thoughts in the comments so that we can chat. All right, so as we have already established, we've all been through some form of pain or hurt or disappointment in our lives at one point or the other. The question though comes to, how do we handle that? What's our response to it? Do we immediately forgive? Some people do that. Or do we spend time, say we need some time, some separation from the person just to get our thoughts together? Or do we say, let's talk it out, let's hash it out? Or do we internalize it? Right? Oftentimes different strategies work for different people. But regardless of the strategy that we take, I think it all boils down to, can we forgive and how can we enable that relationship to either continue or to end that relationship. Please note, sometimes people believe that because you were hurt and you've forgiven somebody, it means that the relationship has to continue. It doesn't. You can forgive that person and then also make the decision that that relationship no longer serves you. And as a result, you want it to, just be resolute with that one to say, hey, this is not going to work out. And sometimes that's fine. Right? Not every relationship that has gone good, that has gone bad, I should say, based on something or a disappointment means that it has to continue. It does not. And when I say relationship, I'm using that word loosely. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It can be a friendship. It can be a family relationship. Either way. So we go down. So yes, we all have been hurt. We've all experienced it. We all, have different reactions to it. The question then comes down to, how do we internalize it? How do we work through it? And as we said, some persons work through it by, just relying on ourselves and saying, hey, I need some time by myself to think through this, to see if it is that this is something that I can get over. Some persons, decide that, hey, this is just not going to work out, and without even internalizing or thinking about it, they just end it. And some persons decide that it's worthy and they want to work through it and they want to get over it. But regardless of the option that we take, do we forgive? Do we give that person grace? And that's the part that's sometimes missing. So from time to time, we will say, okay, I forgive this person. But then deep in our hearts, we are thinking about it a lot. And you may see the person and then immediately all the emotions that you said you forgave, or let's just use we said we forgive, just comes rushing back. And then we have to think through it and determine, did we really forgive that person? Remember, Forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for us. And trust and believe, I've heard this saying so many times, and I just was like, okay, fine. But it's really true. Because when you don't forgive somebody, what happens is that you're holding that feeling in your heart. Whether or not you believe it, whether or not you realize it, you're holding that feeling in your heart. You think about it sometimes, maybe not actively, but in your subconscious it's there. And you just need the trigger then for it to just come to light, and you're just like, okay, I didn't even realize that I was thinking about this. And when you truly forgive somebody, it's when you're at a space where you can, I'm not saying you're forgetting it completely, but you're able to not have an emotional response or reaction when you see that person or you remember the event. You're able to then say or feel genuine in your heart that yes, I was wronged, you wronged me, we had the situation, but I've moved past it and I'm no longer having this emotional or a negative emotional response to you because of it. That, guys, is something harder than we may believe. Like sometimes it's easy to say, right? But it's definitely hard to do. I can tell you for myself, it's sometimes very difficult to move past it. But I will say moving past it is definitely worth it. Because now you recognize that a weight is lifted off your shoulder that you didn't realize was even there. Yeah? And remember, you even forgiving that person genuinely doesn't mean that you're reestablishing the relationship. It doesn't mean that you're reestablishing the boundaries. It doesn't mean any of that. It simply can just mean that, hey, this is it, and the relationship is no longer, right? So I'll just say to you, and sorry for that, I'm just adjusting this a little bit, but I'll just say to you that examine our hearts, right? And just determine whether or not we are truly forgiving people who have wronged us, or are we just holding contempt? Because what happens when we don't forgive them? Besides the heavy weight that we feel on us, when we don't forgive that person, sometimes it changes you into a different person altogether. Because now you have vitriol and you have anger stored up that you didn't even connect the dots to realize why you're feeling that way. It's because you have almost like pent up anger from everybody who has wronged you in some way, shape, and form, and you don't even realize it. So that's why they say forgiveness helps us more than the person, because it releases us from that feeling. It releases us from that tension. It releases us from that like bound, like you being bounded, that yoke that maybe is around your neck that you don't even realize. It releases you from all of that. So that's how forgiveness really works or helps us. Also, I think sometimes I look at some of the things that we've done wrong, I've done wrong, right? Even done wrong to people or in God's eyes, right? Sometimes it's not even just things that we even realize. Sometimes it's just something that we say that we think is totally innocent, but to somebody else it's very hurtful. And I look at sometimes how we can do something even intentionally bad, to hurt somebody's feelings. Sometimes somebody gets you upset and you say something or do something to intentionally hurt them at the time because you're angry. But then when you cool down and emotions are cool and heads are stable and everybody is calm and relaxed now, you're like, why did I say that? I didn't mean that. And that is a whole different series, talking about no anger and how we process our anger. But just saying, when we do that, we do expect the person, or we would like that person to forgive us, right? Because that was not our true selves, or that was not our representation of who we truly are. If it is that we expect that from others, how is it so difficult for us to give it? Look at just God. How many times have we done wrong and we expect Him to forgive us? We've said things, we've done things so many times, and we ask God, please forgive me. And we do it with almost like with an expectancy that He is going to forgive us. but then we find it so hard in our hearts to say we're forgiving somebody else who may have wronged us. The person may have meant it at the time that they did it. It doesn't mean that the person means it. No. It doesn't mean that that's the type of person that they are. No. And if that person, whether or not the person reaches out to you to ask for forgiveness, you can forgive them for your sake, so that you are not becoming a different person because you're holding on to hurt and pain. Right? So, just my little 2 cents here, saying, I know forgiveness is hard. It can be hard, especially if the hurt comes from somebody who you deem to be pretty close to you, or you think should not have done it in the first place. It's very hard. But it's even harder to hold on to it. It creates even more of a stain on you to hold on to that pain. So I'd say to you, take a step back. Think through it. Don't just push it under the rug. Think through it. And recognize that we're all human. We are all flawed. In the eyes of God, we're all flawed. And while that person, who knows, they may have meant what they did or said, they may not feel any form of, regret for what they did. Even if they don't, we have to understand that holding on to that pain does us no justice. Understanding that this person was wrong and they may have done what they did for multiple reasons and things that we may not be able to understand. They may be going through things that we may never know. Most times things come from somewhere. And while that may be something that makes you look at the person either sympathetically, or you may look at them and even be more angry because you're realizing where some of this is coming from, regardless of how you interpret their experiences, you just have to remember that we can give grace. We can give that person grace. We don't have to jump to the worst conclusion first. And if we do, we can give ourselves grace to say, okay, maybe that was not the best thing to do, and forgive them for what they have done. All right? So just saying today, if it is that you are feeling the burden of pain, if you're feeling the burden of stress, if you're feeling the burden of hurt, if you are hurt for anything that anyone has done to you, if you've been holding on to that one thing that person said to you 10 years ago, if you have been thinking about just how wicked a particular person was to you, if you have not even remembered that somebody hurt, a particular person hurt you, but overall you are extremely distrustful, maybe it's coming from somewhere. So I would say to you, think about it just a little bit, and then once we do and we recognize what's happening, release it. Talk through it. You talk through it with a friend, talk through it with God, talk through it with a therapist, talk through it with yourself. Sometimes an additional voice helps though, because we know we can tell ourselves things, right? So talk through it and then let it go. Let it away, let it go. Let it go with the wind. And you will see how tremendously relieved you are. So I would love to hear your feedback. Tell me how you feel. What have you been holding on to? What has hurt you in the past? And by no means am I making this minuscule. By no means am I saying your hurt doesn't matter. By no means am I saying that you are not justified in feeling hurt for what somebody has done. Everybody hurt is different. And I will never tell you that your hurt is less than mine or mine is more than yours. Absolutely not. I'll never do that. And nobody can rightfully tell you that your hurt is not valid. It is valid. However, we have to ensure that that hurt does not take away our power. We have to ensure that that hurt does not walk with us for the rest of our lives, because what that does is to give that aggressor or that perpetrator, whoever that person is that hurt us, it gives us or gives them that power over us for years to come. No, they don't deserve that. You're either going to forgive them and it's something that can be reconciled, or you're going to forgive and move on from it and release that yoke that they may have around you. Release that pressure that you may feel. Release that power that you've given them, because that's what has happened. We've given them that power. We're releasing that. So, as I said, this is definitely depending on what has happened. It doesn't have to be a minuscule, it can be something really big. You may need to talk to somebody about it. So I'd recommend talk to a friend, talk to a therapist. Do not discount talking to God. God has the best way of putting the right people in your life at the right time. Oh, trust and believe. Right? Our God is like that. He will put the person that you need in your life at the time that you didn't even realize that you needed that person. But yes, talk about it and get rid of that power that that person or whoever, whatever has over you. Get rid of it. They don't deserve it. All right. So thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. All right. And let me know how you feel about this. I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.